Or like this?
The bigger one, probably, yes.
Right. Do you know where he kept them?
In his desk? I don't know, I'm speculating, but we all had a notebook that we would use, so I don't know where he kept his.
Can you confirm for us that you have handed over all your notebooks, diaries and records that you kept, like the ones I'm holding in my hand from Peter Madison, to your solicitors, to Kennedy's?
Yes, I left the TMO in May 18, and I binned all of them but the last one, and Kennedy's have possession of the last one, which covered probably 17, 18.
Right. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to hand those back to junior counsel.
So can I just... Are you going to follow that up?
Well, I might. Yes.
Well, I'm going to ask a question now.
Please do.
Just remind me again. You left the TMO in...
May 18.
May 18, so that's nearly a year after the fire.
Yes.
And at that time, did you still have the various notebooks that you'd kept during the period since you joined?
I probably would have, because I joined in 13, I probably would have thrown the earlier one or two, but I may have had 2 or 3 that were there, yes.
Right. And then you said you binned them, is that right?
I didn't keep them.
Well, what did you do with them?
I think if the police didn't take them, I binned them.
You binned them, even though you knew by that time that there was going to be, or was already on foot, a public inquiry?
I believe I looked at them and they were notes. Everything that was in there, I would have thought is actually documented elsewhere.
So
For example, notes of site meeting minutes, we would have formal site meeting minutes.
I find it difficult to understand why you should have thought that, first of all, the notes you'd kept might not add something of value to the formal records, and secondly, why you should think it right to take it upon yourself to decide that question.
Yeah, no, as I'm sitting here now, I agree with you, but the police may have taken them, but I know there was none left in the office when I left.
With respect, if you actually took steps to destroy them, which is what I assume you mean by binning them,
yeah,
you would know that you'd done that, wouldn't you?
Yes, I cleared my desk.
Yes. So do you remember destroying any of your notes?
I don't. I think I just tidied out the desk. I would have looked at them and thought, there is nothing here that isn't informal evidence, and so I got rid of them. But I did keep the last one I had, which is the one that I've given to Kennedy's.
And by that time, because we're now looking at May 2018, had no one asked you to retain any documents in your possession that might have any bearing on what you've been doing during the previous 5 years?
I don't think so, but I say that the police also took away most of my desk at the time, but I don't know whether they were in a drawer. They weren't hidden. I don't lock my drawers. But nobody asked for them, apart from, say, I did keep the last one because that was the one that I thought was most relevant.
But no, what I was really getting at, no, as far as you can recall, no one asked you in general terms to ensure that no documents were destroyed.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Yes, thank you.
Do you remember whether you destroyed those notebooks before or after the police emptied your desk, as you put it?
I don't remember. I wasn't there when the police came to take all the paperwork away, but all I know is when I left, I just left with the one notebook.
And are you quite sure that at the time you destroyed those notebooks, just to follow up on the chairman's question, you had had no advice from anybody that you had to retain all of your records relating to the Grenfell Tower project?
I don't remember that at all. And I say there would have been several options where it may have come up, but I do not remember that.
Do you remember whether you told Kennedy's, who had responsibility for the TMO's disclosure, that there were notebooks which you had destroyed?
I think it only came up when I said, well, I have a book that may help. That was probably the only point that it came up.
When was that, please?
Oh, I don't remember. It was possibly last year.
Can you explain why there's nothing in any of your witness statements about your record keeping, and in particular your decision to destroy records relating to the project that you had in your possession?
That there was nothing underhand about it. I was clearing my desk. I looked and decided that everything that was in there was the way it was noted. It was then formally represented in minutes or in other paperwork, and it was of little value. So I appreciate that perhaps indication should have been given to preserve everything, but it was for me, I just left the job and I cleared my desk.
At the time you made your decision to destroy these documents, did you know that a public inquiry and a police investigation were on foot?
I would have known that, yes. And that's I don't know, the police would have had options to open the drawers, so they could have taken what was there at the time. I don't know why they weren't perhaps retrieved at that point.
Have you ever informed the Metropolitan Police that you had destroyed documents which were relevant to their investigation?
No, I didn't.
Why is that?
Because it's not occurred to me. Today is the first time that I've ever really had a conversation about this.
I'm assuming that, and I don't want to get into the evidence or communications, but I'm assuming that you didn't tell anybody else either.
I possibly would have said to Kennedy's, I only have one book, which I have at home, and they said, bring it in, why is it at
Well, I don't want to know about legal advice.
Yes, okay.
That remains privileged until the TMO choose, and they may, to waive it about the communications between you and them on this subject. So when I asked you at the very beginning of your evidence whether your witness statements were a full and candid account, that's not the case, is it, in respect of the destroyed notebooks?
I'd say that they weren't destroyed. I didn't rip pages out of them. And also they covered other projects. So I cleared my desk. So it wasn't a conscious, I'm hiding anything decision. It was, I'm clearing my desk.
Well, they were destroyed. You binned them.
I put them in the bin.
Yes. So when I asked you at the beginning of your evidence whether your witness statements were a full and candid account, that is not the case in respect of the binned records, notebooks, is it?
Yeah, no, it didn't occur to me. It's not been an issue that's been raised.
Right. Well, let's go back to the substance of the evidence.